Dear colleagues, welcome to this introduction to LMS. In this video, I will describe the major features and tools in LMS that can be very helpful for online courses. And then I will go to the LMS website and then I will show you how you can set up assessments and transmit instructions to students and interact with them through LMS. Let's begin with the most important question. What can you do with LMS? So, as I will show later, we can transmit instructions to students, we can send lecture notes and several other assessment instruments, and then we can receive these assessment instruments from students, and then we can set up forums and chat rooms for interaction with students and interaction of students with students. So, for transmission of instructions, there are several features available in LMS. The most commonly used one are announcements and email, where you can send homeworks, exams, assignments, or any information that you want to transmit to students. If you use announcements, there will be a repository of announcements for later viewing of students also. But for emails, the students will have to go to archives to fetch out the older emails. So I usually prefer announcements for information transmission to students so that they can come back later and see all the announcements in one place. There's another very good option available in LMS. It's resources tab, where you can put a collection of lecture notes, slides, reading materials, uh, papers, homework solutions, computer programs, etc., and many other things as well. So another good feature of this thing is that it's not restrictive as the email is. For example, when we send emails, we can't attach executable files or program files, but with this resources tab, we can transmit these type of files to students also. The another option available in LMS is Dropbox, which we can use to share large files with students, for example, books or video lectures, etc. And then there's a great feature in LMS. It's Lessons tab, where you can write lessons right into different pages. This can be useful if we have a short lesson to type, which can include links to other web material, or it can also include links and embedded quizzes right inside it. So using these features, we can send instructions to students. Then we have another great feature. It's podcast, where we can record our audio lectures or voiceovers offline and then transmit these audio lectures to students via podcast that we can set up in LMS. For assessments, the major tool that is available to us in LMS is tests and quizzes. In using this tool, we can set up time-bound quizzes, MCQs, homeworks, take-home exams, uh, project deliverables, and many other assignments. So the great feature of this tool is this, that we can do evaluation right there when we are when we are going through the submitted homeworks, exams, and other instruments by students. And the other useful part of this is that several teachers and teaching assistants, they can collaborate because all the material is available online, and all whatever files or responses have been submitted by students, it's available in a list in front of each student's name. So TAs and instructors can remotely log into LMS, and they can do grading using this tool. There's only one caveat if we want to use evaluations part of LMS. It is that we can do grading and evaluation that will help us record scores for each instrument for students. But at the end, since we have to run grader from Zambil, we will have to transport all the data from LMS to Zambil. So I personally prefer grading offline by going through these instruments and then entering data Zambil directly, so that at the end of the course I can run grader easily instead of then having to retype all the grades that were entered in LMS to Zambil. So, using tests and quizzes, we can do several type of assessments as we think appropriate for our course. For interaction with students, there are several options for asynchronously interacting with students. Uh, the important one is what is called forum. So, in this with this tool, teachers can set up structured discussions and debates with the targeted questions, and students can respond to these targeted questions, and they can also debate uh, among themselves, and they can debate with the teachers. The grading tool is also integrated with this forum right there, so teacher can grade for class participations in these debates. For example, this can perhaps be used to run case studies. And the other very important tool available in LMS is chat room, where students and teachers can post random comments and they can interact with each other. For example, students can discuss with other students what's going on with the course, or if there is any difficult problem, or if some student want some hint with a particular assignment, so other students can respond and teacher can respond. So enabling this tool in LMS can actually help you establish a learning community, as the students would be doing on when they are studying a course on campus. Another option available in LMS is what is called messages, where a teacher can interact with a student separately, or maybe with a group of students, and then that discussion will only be viewable to that particular group of students. So, using these three forums, we can interact asynchronously with students. Unfortunately, there's no option yet available with LMS where we can have live and interactions with students. Let's now have a walk through LMS, and for this, we can access LMS through this portal. So, LMS can be accessed through several web browsers. To use LMS, you need a user ID and a password, which is typically the same as for your institutional email account. However, if you have never used LMS before, you might need to get it enabled by an IST personnel in the university. So once you have access to LMS, you can log in, and once you log in, you will see a screen like this. Now, if you already have created some work sites for your courses, they can be viewed here. The work sites can be either created by you, or they can also be created by somebody in the information technology services department. In this part of our talk, I will go over four major things. The first is how to create a course work site on LMS if you haven't created one. And also, I will discuss that if you already have created a work site, how you can add more features to it by enabling different tabs. Then I will discuss how you can transmit instructions to students and set up assessments. And finally, we will see how we can set up interactions with students. So you can create work sites by either clicking here, my work site, and then selecting work site setup, or you can come on the left side tab here and you can click work site setup. So to create a new site, let's click new, and we can create a course site by selecting the term in which you are teaching a course. For example, we can select this graduate courses in the current spring semester, and once I click continue, all the courses that are assigned to me from the graduate category will be visible here. So we can see there's a master thesis, and then there is this graduate course that is already here. I cannot select this tab because I already have a work site created for this, as we can see here. Uh, just for the purpose of this video, let me select this master's thesis, and we can click continue, and these things appear here. We can provide a description here. This is a test site or whatever you like, and then we can select continue. And this is an important part where we select what options we need in our course. For example, we need announcements, assignments, chat room for setting up a learning community. Email I usually don't use, but you can let it here sometime if you need it for quick messaging. We might need evaluation system, external tools if you want to use tools from third parties. Forums are important part for structured discussions. We can have lessons, messages, news, let's say polls. We can conduct polls of students. um, we can enable searching of the course site because sometimes there would be a lot of content here. You can also provide an external website address here that student can access and related to the course, and then click continue. And for external website, for example, here I can provide blums.edu.pk, but you can provide some more meaningful website link here. So we click continue, and which is publish site. You can leave it as draft if there are other instructors that might want to make some changes. Otherwise, you continue, and let's say create site. So now we have this site created, which is available in more sites. So this is another site, but this site that we saw, this is the site here. It is SSE master thesis. Let me click here, and you see all the tabs that we enabled that are present here. So we can go down, and all other tabs are present here. If you already have a website set up here, for example, this course on computational physics that I set up the website in the beginning of this semester when I wasn't planning to go on online. So you see, I only have a few tabs here. For example, resources tab that have resources that we have uploaded. For example, lecture notes, homework solutions, and programs that I used in class. So they're all available here. I also have a couple of other resources. And similarly, the announcements that I sent to students are all here. But suppose now I also want to have a forum and chat room and other tabs here. What we can do is we can go to site info, and I can click on edit tools, and here it is. I can select and deselect tabs again. For example, I don't need a chat room in this course. I might need evaluating system, even though I will prefer evaluation offline as I discussed earlier and enter scores in Zambeel directly. Then I might need forums to start debates on certain algorithms in this course. Lessons I probably am not going to need because I'll be sending PDF notes. We might need messages to communicate with students. Podcast I'm not going to need. Uh, uh, and then I might need, I will probably not need anything else. So with these new tabs, let me put continue, and then I can finish it here. So now I have all the additional tabs that I entered over here. I have additional tabs that are chat room, and then other tabs that I enabled. So you can add tabs in here. And I also want to quickly discuss another important thing with creation of site. Once you have created a site, you might want to add teaching assistants to this course, or maybe other students who are auditing the course but not registered for the course. You can always go to this edit site information, or you can go to, I think not edit site information, but by going to add participants, I can add a participant here, and we can have it his or her email address here if it is official or unofficial, and then we click continue. Just for the sake of the site, let me add my own email address, which is not listed in this course, because if I entered my already registered email address, it might say that the person is already here. So now I can choose a role over here. For example, this person might be a student or a resource only, a teaching assistant. It's better to add teaching assistants also as instructors. They will have then more leeway in managing the site. Then I press continue, and you can choose to send an email to this person, and this person will be added to the course as an instructor or student. So here, when I say finish, so I'm now added as an teaching assistant to this site. Okay, so this was pretty much that we need to know about setting up this website for a particular course. So now to demonstrate the instruction transmission part of this talk. So to discuss the transmission of instructions using LMS, let me go through a couple of important options. The most important one is this announcement part, where you can send files and homeworks and exams to students in a single announcement. For example, I can add a new announcement. We can give a heading here. Let's say it's final exam. If you want to transmit as a single file, you can add a message here, and then you can go and add an attachment from here by choosing a file. So once you choose a file, let's say I choose this file, you can say continue, and then you get back to this part of the announcement. And here, don't forget to choose that the email notification is high, because usually you want this announcement to go to everyone, to all students and to all teaching assistants and instructors in this course. So once you say post announcement, the announcement will be posted, and all the posted announcements would be here. So even if a student doesn't see their email, they can always come back to this website and see whatever announcement have been posted. We also have this Dropbox part, where you can either add a file or folder that goes to everyone, or you can send a file or folder to an individual student by creating by sending files from here. Similarly, we can set up assignments using this tab as well. For example, I can add an assignment. There is, let's say this is homework number 5, and we can write a set of instructions here, select an open date when it's going to be visible to students, and also a due date when it's going to be due from students. And you can also give another date, that even after due date you will keep accepting until another date, but you might charge maybe a penalty for late assignments. And then in the student response part, you have several options. You can only have textual input from students, or you only need attachments, or you might need textual response and attachment from students, or other non-electronic or single uploaded file only. So by doing this, we can and you can specify if it is going to be graded, and what's going to be the grading mechanism. You can specify points for students. And once you set it up, you can see other options from here, and you can don't forget to choose if you want to send notification to students from here or not. Generally, whenever we set up an assignment, we would like a notification to go out. Sometime, especially in science and engineering departments, we might have assignments that involve a lot of figures and equations. You can type them in a separate file and maybe attach the homework file from here if you want them to go it from here as an attachment. And once you post, it will be posted to students. Since this is my regular course, let me not send this announcement here. So I'm gonna cancel it. Another part of the resources, another part of LMS that we can use to transmit instructions are these resources part, where you can create folders, and then in folders you can upload different materials for students to see. So this is the what I have to say about using LMS for transmission of instructions. To show how we can use LMS to set up effective assessments, let's go to this test site that I have created for this purpose. And let's go to this very important tab, tests and quizzes. So here we can set up assessments. Let me show you by setting up a couple of assessments how to do it, and then you can experiment with it. So first we begin by selecting the type of assessment. For example, we can begin with the problem set, and let me call it, let's say, work 5, and we can create it. So once we have created, we will have to add questions to it. So let's add first question, and maybe this can be a question in response to which student has to upload a file. So this question might have 10 points. So let's say the question is that write a program on something, and we can also specify the question through a file, and which we can upload through this add attachment part. So here, once you choose a file, you can upload it. That will be part of the question. So once question has been specified, we can either add it as a part to some other question, but since we don't have any question in this pool yet, it's not going to give us any option. So similarly, we can also keep collecting questions, and we can make pools of those questions, and we can assign this new question to a particular pool. But since we don't have anything like that, let me just go ahead and save this question. So with this question, we now have this question, write a program, dash dash dash, and then students will browse a file and upload. Let's insert another question, and maybe this can be a multiple choice question. So let's specify the weight of this question, maybe it's 5. So how many correct answers are going to be in the options? If it is only single correct option, then we select single. If our options are going to have multiple options, correct options, then we select this. But let's say we begin with single correct answer, and we can also specify negative point for incorrect answers. And now we specify question here. Choose A, B, C, D. You can also specify question by adding an attachment. So let's say this is option A, this is option B, and suppose B is correct answer. So I'm choosing this, and then there is some option, let me call it C, and this is some D option. So once we have done this, we can actually remove number of options, and we can add extra options if we like. We can also choose to randomize for different students here. So we can randomize by saying yes, or maybe we can we can keep it same for everybody. We can also assign it as a part to some other question, and we can keep it as it is. So we can provide feedback on correct answers here. As soon as students submit, they will see some feedback on their question. So let's say feedback from instructor. And there can be a feedback on incorrect answer. So let's write it incorrect, better luck next time. So let's save this question. Now once we have saved it, we if we just leave it as it is, it's not going to be viewable to students. You can actually check it by going to student view. So LMS has this very important thing, it's enter access view. So we can click on it to see how this thing is going to look like from a student perspective. So right now student will see nothing because we didn't publish that assessment that we created. So let me exit student view and go here. And this was homework 5 that we were creating. So let's select, let's first go to setting, because we might have to see how long it's going to be available. It might be available until 31st, and it's let's say due on some date before 31st. Let's say it's due until March 30. We can also accept it after the due date, for example, by charging penalty, and we can also stop accepting after due date by selecting no. If we want to select receive after due date, we can give another date. For example, it might be uh, until March 31 that they can submit. We can add additional message that student can see after they submit. We can choose other options here, but let's save these settings right now. And so it's saying the due date cannot be earlier than the available date. So there is a problem here. So the due date is, so since it's going to be available until 31st, the due date has to be 31st. So let's say save and publish. Okay, now it's published. Sorry, it's not published, and we have to select either we want to send a notification or not. So let's say please do homework 5 or some other message that you want. So let's now publish it, and let's see what is a view from student perspective. So students, when they will log in, they will see homework 5 here, and they will know that it's due by Tuesday, March 31, and they can begin assessment here. So for question number 1, they can write a program, and then they can choose a file from here, and they can upload it as part of their uh, homework solution. For question number 2, they can choose some option, and once they have chosen, they will save and submit. So this is how it's going to look from student perspective. So let's exit this thing, and let me just inform you that you can edit and add more questions to it, or you can change questions by selecting edit if you like later on. For example, you can edit these questions, or you can add more questions into it. So this is how we can set up different assessments. Let's do one more quick assessment. For example, we want to have a timed test, and we can name it, let's say, final exam, and let's create it. Now we can have the first question as maybe a file upload question that can have, say, 10 points, and we can save this question, but we have to provide question text here. So this is first question on final exam. We can also provide an attachment for this exam, and once we have, we can save this question. So once this question is saved, we can add more questions from here if we like. And now when we go to publish, let's first set its timings. So it's assessment released to entire site. The number of submission allowed is only 1, but we can allow multiple submissions if we want, because sometimes students submit and then they realize that they may have made a mistake, and still there is time to submit. They can submit again. Now the exam is available until 3/26, and it's going to be due, let's say, on 27, and it has a time limit of, suppose, 10 hours. We can allow late submissions if we like. If we say no, it won't accept. If we say yes, we can allow, give another date, for example, suppose until March 30. and then save settings and publish. We should always select that send a notification to student as soon as there's a new assessment available. So we're going to publish. Let's see how is it going to be from student perspective. So student will see that it's a final exam and there's going to be a time limit of 10 hours, which means that once they start the exam, they will have 10 hours to submit the exam. So this way we can, once they click this begin assessment, they will have this question available to them, and if you uploaded a file, the file would be available to them that they can go through, and as soon as they have this exam, the clock will begin ticking. So once they have solved a problem, they can maybe upload a file and they can save it if there's still time, but if time is running out, they should submit for grading. So this is how you can conduct assessments using LMS. Let me briefly discuss the tools that we have to set up communications among students and teachers, and then we can close this introduction to LMS. So there are two major ways that are available to students and teachers to communicate. The first is unstructured way using the chat room. The students and teachers can go to the chat room and they can post their messages here, which are going to be visible to everyone who's enrolled in this course. So this way we can have discussions among students or among students and teachers. Typically, this involves various questions regarding different issues with homeworks, assignments, or maybe some lectures. So the benefit of this discussion is this: that if one student has particular questions that has been answered by the instructors, the other students can simply come here and see answer to that question instead of repeating the question. The other way of communication is through forums, where uh, an instructor can steer discussion in a particular way by setting up a forum. So they can set up a forum using this new forum tool. For example, I have set up this forum Winter Oak and posted some test question here that students can respond to. So this way, there can be a debate or discussion among students and instructors on a particular topic. Once one topic is exhausted, this instructor can add another topic from here. Okay, so with this, I would like to end this video introduction. But before signing off, I would like to let you know that I would be delighted to answer any questions that you might have. You can contact me on this email address. Thank you.